Wet Market is the latest mini LP or EP from Dipygus, a Santa Cruz, California-based death metal band who kind of embody a little bit of an old school death grind, kind of early autopsy feeling, which has evolved into sort of the psychedelic side of things. While they have sort of this interesting sort of like cryptid and anthropological nightmare sort of scenario going on in their lyrics, and it's been an interesting death metal band as the everyone's sort of taken the idea of what barbaric and old school death metal mean today in a more modern context. And this is one of the more interesting bands in sort of the barbaric, but really just classic and abstract in some ways style of death metal. So for this EP, they're following up their second full length, which was Bushmeat was a great album. It felt a lot like Acts of the Unspeakable era Autopsy in the sense that it was a little bit all over the place. It was a little bit psychedelic. It had a lot of doom in there too, and it wasn't that it was unfocused or there was nothing inherently wrong with it. It was just all over the place and drenched in a lot of psychedelic effects. And while it made for a more interesting record, it wasn't their like catchiest, strongest showing, especially after Death Ooze. Death Ooze has really aged a little bit better from my point of view. So we get a little bit of an extension of what Bushmeat was doing, but now they've cut it back to kind of their most interesting parts. They've cut back on the samples a little bit and whatnot. So we'll get into just a song here just for the sake of a clip. I don't have that much to say about this album. So consistency has done a lot of a good service to Dipygus as every one of the releases consistently showing a certain level of kind of grungy quality, grimy sound, and the psychedelic touch to it. And that's because there's members of pretty well known bands who've sort of always been there as part of the personnel whenever they decide to record. So there's a lot to really like about their sound and the consistency of it. I'm not sure if these are leftover songs from the last album. It doesn't sound like it. These sound like a new set of songs, and it does sound like I believe they are preparing for a third full length here pretty soon. So this is kind of the step in between. And it's some of my favorite material from the band in terms of the riffs being more readable, the vocals being nice and upfront in a way that's still readable, while they keep it weird. And they do it in a different way where we're finding a lot more like electronic components in some of the music, whether that's something eerie or something just kind of creative, as we find on the outro to one of the songs here, which I'll leave you to discover on your own. It's pretty unique. So that's most of my notes. There's not a lot to say. This is a great band who continue to be great. And I think there's no downside to this release. I think the other ones had a little bit of a flaw. And the only thing with this one is I think it's entirely consistent. I think this is just a consistent release. So I don't really have any complaints. So yeah, I mean, I could probably nitpick at a thing here or there if I wanted to, but I'm not sure there was an EP that I've listened to in the last 3 months that I enjoyed quite as much as this one. So that counts for something. I had a good time. It's kind of a no-brainer if you don't know this band and you like old school referential death metal. This is a great place to go.